What Kanye did. Hello, welcome to my channel Just Thinking Out Loud. My name is Desiree. Kanye West sparked controversy when he tweeted a picture of himself wearing a Make America Great Again hat as he was leaving his recording studio. He also compared himself to President Donald Trump by saying that, open quote, "You don't have to agree with Trump, but the mob can't make me not love him. We are both Dragon Energy. He is my brother. I love everyone. I don't agree with everything anyone does. That's what makes us individuals, and we have the right to independent thought." End quote. Kanye West basically showed support for Donald Trump in a social atmosphere where one's support, lack of support, or lack of hatred for Donald Trump is a signal to many people of one's moral compass. Kanye's tweets were further controversial for two more reasons. One, because he is a member of a minority group, as defined under the modern left's identity politics classification system, whose members should be inherently opposed to what Donald Trump represents. Again, under the modern left's ideology, Donald Trump and what he symbolizes is the coming back of racial hatred against non-white people in the United States and xenophobia towards immigrants to the US, particularly non-white ones. Two, because he's a celebrity and now atypical of the Hollywood elite, whose members are broadly vocal of their support for leftist ideology. He's also a black celebrity, who should in many people's eyes make him a representative of the interests of black people. Apart from his initial tweets showing support for Donald Trump, Kanye made a series of controversial statements, including saying that when hearing of 400 years of slavery, that sounded like a choice to him, that his focus was on free thought and having a free mind, and an emphasis on love across the political and interpersonal landscape. I particularly liked his example of his daughter having a free mind before going to school and being told that she is black, and being taught that she was black as her identity, with much meaning attached to that, over her identity as Kanye's daughter.
My wife said to my daughter, "Tell daddy what you learned in school." And she said, "I learned that mama's white and I'm black." I said, "Damn, I wish I got the heads up." They said, "No, we had to tell her because of Martin Luther King's birthday." But a white teacher told her that. So what does it mean to be black in America if a white teacher tells her that she's black? You might be Kanye West's daughter, but you black. My daughter was free. We start putting these ideals and ideals on people. That's why we are in a simulation.
My opinion on what Kanye is doing is that he is simply thinking differently than perhaps he has thought before, or has been brave enough to say before within the confines of Hollywood celebrity culture, or expectations of his fans, or the accepted mainstream narrative of his racial identity. It seems to me that his opinions are not fully defined beyond wanting to form an opinion, a political opinion, and not going in the direction desired by others. The reasons given for why Kanye did what he did are less telling than the public's reaction to him. Regardless of whether Kanye is attempting to reason publicly through his political awakening, is finally deciding to share a long-held opinion, or is generating publicity for his upcoming album release, he has incensed a culture that does not support independent thought, that does not respect precisely what makes someone an individual. However morally good the reason in their minds, the public outcry has defined his tweets as blasphemy. One man has accused him of fraternizing with their enemies,
while you choose to say things that, to be honest with you, dog, are nonsensical. You want to think freely? That's fine. I'll combat your free thought with my free thought because mine is grounded in a reality that I have been given and a reality that I'm going to change, but I'm not going to do it by pretending that the enemies are on the same team as me.
The public's response shows a belief that once born into the world with dark skin, one has signed a contract that for the duration of one's life, one must define the characters they encounter through racial identity or according to leftist ideology, as if there is no other way to make sense of the world, almost as if there was no world before these categories were common, or as if there is no other possible future, or else be cast out. Kanye is not the first man to have experienced this. He may not be the last. He is also not the first individual of any identity category to feel the wrath of his self-appointed overlords. Within the ideology that the left has morphed into, it is so important for people to define good and evil and keep their wards from going astray into danger that they no longer respect the individual's right over their own thought or see the gift of creativity to see differently as the same mechanism that has sparked transformation in the past. And yet, nearly every act we define as wrong, such as slavery, theft, murder, rape, comes from the idea that each person has a right to own the self. Even to lie means to deny an individual the information that allows them to make a choice which affects them and their person. Their ideology that defines Trump as an enemy, Kanye's daughter as a victim, and any supporter of Trump a defender of sexism or racism is so rigid that it is at the heights of religious conviction, where they are ready to cast out those who never pledged allegiance. I came across a particularly unpalatable article that highlights this clearly, brought to my attention by a YouTuber named Benjamin Boyce in an interview that I did recently that maybe you would be interested in watching. Written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, it casts Kanye West's actions as ultimate betrayal, similar to his childhood experience of Michael Jackson's rejection of his noble skin color. He describes Kanye as wanting to be white, desiring white freedom, a kind of freedom that does not exist for a black man, rather than black freedom, and asks him to come home to his racial identity. Instead of the slave masters telling Kanye that he should know his place as a black man, it is the modern-day pro-black activist who tells him how he must engage life as a black man. It is not enough for Coates to be satisfied with his own understanding of the world and solutions to the struggles of life. All other people must follow his religion and come back home, else walk the path of self-destruction. They cannot make their own map, mark their own landmarks, even when they have a different heritage, as in my case being a foreigner, and figure out how to get to the treasure they seek. They must be held in mental bondage to the vision of Coates and others like him. This is a quote from Coates' article. It is often easier to choose the path of self-destruction when you don't consider who you are taking along for the ride, to die drunk in the street if you experience the deprivation as your own, and not the deprivation of family, friends, and community. And maybe this too is naive, but I wonder how different his life might have been if Michael Jackson knew how much his truly black face was tied to all of our black faces, if he knew that when he destroyed himself, he was destroying part of us too. I wonder if his life would have been different, would have been longer, and so for Kanye West, I wonder what he might be if he could find himself back into connection, back to that place where he saw not a disconnected freedom of I, but a black freedom that called him back, back to the bone and drum, back to Chicago, back to home. The aspect of control of the personal philosophy of an individual does not seem to remind them of slavery that they diligently wash their personal histories in and bemoan their suffering within.
Now, what he meant to say, I think, was about psychological slavery, and, he was talking about, we shouldn't be enslaved now mentally, but that's not the way it came out. The way it came out was 400 years of physical slavery, us being kidnapped, us being sold, brought over here, raped, murdered, tortured. We didn't have an option. It's not like being a slave was a fraternity, okay? I didn't pledge slave for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't enroll in slavery. We didn't have a choice in that matter. So that was just a stupid statement.
Coates does not think in isolation, however. The public response to Kanye's pronouncements seemed to be, at first, one of betrayal, then ridicule. They feel betrayed because Kanye is breaking ranks and aiding the enemy. They feel the need to ridicule because a joke, a mental aberration, does not have to be taken seriously. Perhaps Kanye's 400 years of slavery was a choice comment meant to point out that not every black person was a slave, as so often left off the Black American archives about America and around the world, or that mental slavery has long outlived the actual numbered years of physical constraints. How could we find out, though, if we are not allowed to search? Kanye is not the first, nor will he be the last, to walk this path. There are many individuals who continually break from the mental script handed to them by the left or their communities, and receive backlash for it. Until liberal America starts jumping down the throats of so-called minorities who call other minorities racial slurs, the way they do against any white person who commits a perceived slight, I know they still do not see minorities as equal in moral standing. I believe that day is a long time coming, and I believe character is one of the most important things an individual can possess, beyond handouts and sympathy and the virtue signals of caring. In my eyes, Kanye is a hero. Whether or not celebrities' opinions should be placed on a pedestal, He is respected in a community that has so far only been familiar with one narrative to guide their path, and he is sparking the interest in many to look and consider traveling the journey of the unknown. That's what I think of what Kanye did. Don't forget to subscribe. Please share the video as that helps the channel grow. Do check out my other channels, Crypto Ramble and Desiree Arts. And please don't forget to donate at justthinkinoutloud.tv/donate to help me deliver more content to you. It makes a big difference. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.